Hello there guys, today we'll be talking about two titans of military gaming. One that promises historical realism and the other that promises fast-paced arcade action. But behind the tanks, planes and warships, there is also controversies, greed and battle not just on the battlefield, but between developers, players and redditors. Today we'll be comparing Wargaming and Gai-jin. If you've searched for the best military game, you've probably had to pick between two names, Wargaming and Gai-jin Entertainment. One gave us World of Tanks, the arcade blockbuster that became a phenomenon a couple of years ago, World of Warships, a very good naval arcade, you might know from my channel, and World of Warplanes, 404 filed and found. Wargaming is also working on another tank game, Project Cold War, we will see about that. Gai-jin is known from War Thunder, the ultra-realistic simulator type of game, known for its complexity and leaking military documents on forums. Gai-jin themselves also has a very good history with games built around planes like Il-2 Sturmovik, and currently their new game Enlisted. So those are both big companies that we're just gonna try to compare which has what better. But which one is actually better? Which delivers the more complete experience? Well, today we'll be diving into wargaming against Gai-jin across gameplay, monetization, community, controversies, and by the end you will know where to take your fight, or if it's time to abandon both of the battlefields. We'll also go over each Wargaming game and compare it to the aspect of War Thunder, as you know, War Thunder kinda has everything in one game, while Wargaming preferred to split it across multiple, to see which does what better. However, I will use Project Cold War instead of World of Tanks. That's my personal preference, I don't want to play World of Tanks anymore. Before we even start, I want to also kinda give you a context about my credentials on speaking about that. You know me in terms of World of Warships, borderline super unicorn, so close but yet so far. I've played World of Tanks since beta until I switched to World of Warships as I started to dislike the game a little bit. And I tried to play World of Warplanes with the incentive on tried. I'm still a War Thunder player, in which I recently found a stats website for, and turns out I'm actually slightly above average, which was big boost of self-esteem, honestly, because I thought I was a potato. You can watch my take on the game, by the way, it's a video I made like a week ago or so. Okay, both companies have actually been around for decades, but their paths couldn't be more different. However, you need to know that they actually have very similar place of origin. Wargaming was founded in 1998 in Belarus, and after a string of less known titles, they actually struck gold with World of Tanks, and since the game exploded in Russia, Europe, and eventually it exploded also in the West. And this led Wargaming to create similar titles like World of Warplanes and World of Warships soon after. Gai-jin also began their adventure around the early 2000s, known for kinda niche titles like Il-2 Sturmovik, Wings of Prey. Afterwards they launched War Thunder, but unlike Wargaming, they actually decided to go a little bit more into the realism, physics, and they combined arms approach, tanks, planes, and later ships together in one game. Both companies started in similar regions and they moved to the west. From day one, though, their philosophies kinda diverged. Wargaming chased accessibility and easier entry into the game, when Gai-jin chased more of an authentic approach. Now it's time to go over the games and the philosophies behind them. Wargaming does arcade style games with HP bars and some quirky mechanics, whereas Gaijin goes into more module based simulator type fights. Both companies try to make their games look wonderful, and their art designs teams are amazing. However, if I were to take a pick, I would choose Wargaming's art department. In my opinion, they are doing slightly better job than Gaijin, and I don't really want to believe that art is well something that just is debatably better. It's a little bit biased by personal preference. And in my case, it's gonna be the wargaming one. Which one is your favorite, by the way? I would like to hear your opinions. As I'm into ships, let's go over naval first. And World of Warships wins on that field, no problem. War Thunder Naval is just painfully slow, and very often the moment you get into any actual action, you're already kinda dead. It is mostly due to really long repair times that very often mean you will be on perma repair, so you are forced to take engagements from spawn, or to camp somewhere on the edge of the map, trying not to be focused. Also, on lower BRs, actually destroying a ship takes a very long time, leading to being on the side that either dies in a painful and slow way, or to be shooting a target for a very long time and it will just get boring. Also, all the ships that rely on torpedoes like IGND's Yugumo and the premium ones Shimakaze are not really that good in War Thunder, mostly because of how bad the torps are. And it's not really about the parameters or that you have a fixed amount of them. It's like the realistic part of this game is fine. It's that the maps are generally designed in a way where there is so many obstacles that launching torpedoes is borderline pointless unless you do it point blank. But you're not gonna get to that point. World of Warships is generally much better in terms of pacing and the map design. And also, you actually are able to do something when you push and you know what to do, and when like actually leaving the place you spawn in World of Warships is good and you can do it, but in some War Thunder it's very difficult and very often with very little payoff. However, I need to give credit to War Thunder for actually making planes balance naval mode as well. You can respawn in a plane in naval. It's not that common sight because all the ships have very strong AA and you're just gonna be wiped off. But if you actually do and have a decent plane and you know what you're doing, you can one-shot somebody with a bomb. It's not that difficult once you actually get to something that is like fairly decent, and well, it's high risk, high reward. Speaking of planes, we move to air battles, and War Thunder has clear air superiority there. Wargaming has like no free space. They had a game called World of Warplanes. Actually, it's still like playable, but it is borderline dead. Like there is like 100 people playing it, and War Thunder Air Battles is a major cause of that. Gai-jin had a lot of experience in making plane combat games, and with module-based fights, it just works much better. It is relaxing to fly planes, and so far I'm like 10.3 air right now. I have faced only one scenario when I was in real pain fighting enemy, and it was well, when I tried to grind something with F104, and I had to actually go back a couple BRs to get the plane from that era. As well, having to constantly fight teams that were consisting half of MiG-21S, the premium one, with radar guided missiles was not really fun when you're playing a plane that has absolutely no countermeasures and cannot turn. So you imagine, right? I also heard that higher up air battles balance is questionable, but if big majority of vehicles are fun to play from low BR to like this 10.3, I see no problem over there. Now for tanks. World of Tanks and War Underground are two different games right now. World of Tanks at this moment is nothing but a shadow of older self. Game that used to be a fun and dynamic experience turned into hold-on corridor map nightmare, and we see many CCs and pro players leaving the game. Wargaming is actually making another tank game that is very much fun in my opinion, the project called War, which I tested in alpha and it's still in testing and it's not released. But it's very promising game, however the competition is not sleeping as well. They are smelling the dying whale in the water and kinda want to get their fair share of the market that soon might open. Game like Steel Aces might turn to be a new World of Tanks. Meanwhile, Gai-jin ground battles are doing fine as always. Sure, they have a couple of downsides, especially the higher you go, but the high mid-tiers games are dynamic and a bit chaotic, but most importantly requiring knowledge of things around you. Maps, vehicle modules, parameters of your tank and enemy tank matter. Also, being able to respawn in a tank or in a plane makes dying less frustrating. But that leaves another problem. If you can respawn, there will be spawn camping. But if you want to just jump in and shoot tanks without knowing their ammo thickness, parameters, or having to think at all, well, you should go World of Tanks. But if you want to memorize ammo types, have a little bit of game knowledge to have some fun, well, go and play War Thunder. Now let's go over monetization and progression in the games. Well, here when things get a little bit messy. Both games are free to play, but not really.
We do not want our players to buy their way to the top. Buy their way to the top.
Buy their way to the top.
Wargaming has the Battle Pass, Premium Time, loot boxes, OP premiums, events like Black Market, Holiday Crates, Dockyards, Chain Bundles, and many others. However, Wargaming at least gives you a way to earn some gold or dubs via rankeds or other special modes. In World of Tanks there is other modes to actually get gold. Engaging tech tree grind is borderline called a second job. Premium vehicles have distinct advantages and usually are, let's say it out loud, you want to skip grinding this tech tree, just buy it and play it for a few games and you have it. They also sell cosmetics, but most importantly they sell bushes that are able to hide you from view or at least make you borderline impossible to identify. I know it's a little bit skill issue, but it's really pissing me off. And there are still premium account, bundles, at least not chain ones, and the battle pass. So far I did not experience a single free way of earning premium currency in War Thunder to actually get something. So both studios have a lot of pay to win mechanics, grind walls, and predatory monetization. Gai-jin just hides it a little bit better, I guess. Or maybe it's just Wargaming throwing into the face too much. Maybe a bit of both. I would call it a draw here. In terms of community and communication, well, a game's community can make it or break it. And this is where both companies face harsh truths. Wargaming has a very slow feedback loop, controversial bans, like kicking out CCs from the program or streamers for saying a couple things, and they just ignore the bugs. Well, Gai-jin has a forum bans, well, a little bit of censorships and also some PR disasters. Like we had Gai-jin being Steam review bombed and the War Thunder player union stuff, and that's really not the greatest of looks. But the key difference is how companies handle these things. So both companies had their fair share of drama. Some justified, some just internet outrage, but let's compare. Wargaming had a big history of waiting things out or putting the blame on somebody else, like the community. They have severe lack of ability to say my bad and we will do better. Gai-jin, although initially having similar reaction to Wargaming, someone probably, I suppose, gave a brave suggestion that pleasing the community will improve the quality of the game and make the profits go up. Hence, we see patch notes filled with game fixes marked with heart, meaning that the problem was fixed thanks to help of players, and they also started making a lot of quality of life improvements. So they are on a good way to actually, well, be on par with the community. It's not just about who makes the game, it's who you trust. Okay, let's just sum things up one by one. In terms of realism, Gai-jin is clearly the winner. In terms of accessibility, well, Wargaming was always aiming for that. In terms of art design, it's slightly Wargaming, but that's my personal opinion. Monetization fairness, neither. Community support, definitely Gai-jin. Combined arms, also Gai-jin. For casual fun, go Wargaming. In terms of specialized battles, for naval, Wargaming still wins. For air, Gai-jin is a clear winner. In terms of tanks, we will see about Project Cold War, but generally, Gai-jin does a better job right now. It used to be the other way, however, Wargaming dug this hole themselves. But in the end, it's not about who just wins objectively. It's kinda about what kind of player you are. And I'm gonna leave it without any further context for this sentence. You're gonna need to actually think about that yourself. Both games have some baggage, and neither studio is perfect. But what do you support? Just one of the games? Or like in my case, mix depending on the branch of military? Also, would you like to see any of the Gai-jin games on my channel as well? Hey guys, if you want to support me, subscribe to this channel. It would be helpful. You can also leave some comments. I always love to read your comments on the matter, as it expands my knowledge, and it also gives me some way of contacting you guys. It's been Senpai Simon. See you next time.